Kia ora, good morning everyone, Rich Wong here, welcome back to the channel. If you are a regular viewer of this channel, you may remember I've done a few reviews of the H&Y filter over the last 2 years. We look at the K series square filter and also the REVORING filter. H&Y is bringing out some new products again, and they are doing a Kickstarter campaign right now. So let's check out all these new products in this video. And the usual disclaimer before we start, the product samples that are used in this review were all sent to me by H&Y, but as usual, this is a completely independent video and I only agree to mention and share their Kickstarter campaign with you guys. The new products we are looking at today is called the H&Y Swift System. This system is based on H&Y's innovative REVORING, but now H&Y has evolved it into a modular ecosystem that all the components are magnetically connected together. When I first received the samples and all the information, I was really overwhelmed because there are so many different components and they are all quite different. So I spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out how everything works and fits together. But don't worry, now I've done my homework, I'm going to summarize everything for you and I will try to make it easy for you to understand. This Swift system is basically a 3-layer system. For each layer, there are a bunch of different items that you can choose from. Some are designed for photographers and some are designed for videographers. You can mix and match different items from each layers and you don't need to use all the 3 layers if you don't want to. The only thing you have to remember is to use an item from a certain layer, you need an item from the layer below it for it to work. If you want to use an item from the layer 2, you need to have the layer 1. And if you want to use an item from layer 3, then you need the layer 2 and therefore you also need the layer 1 as well. So you can't skip the layer in between because the size is different between each layer. So if you try to attach a layer 3 item directly on the layer 1 item, they won't physically connect. So that's the fundamental rule about this Swift system you need to understand. And now let's have a look at the products available for each layer. Okay, now let's start with the layer 1, the base layer of this Swift system. And basically, it is the REVORING. If you have watched my REVORING review before, you should know what the REVORING is. But in case you haven't, here is a quick summary. Since camera lenses all have different filter thread size, so what a lot of photographers and videographers do is they buy a larger filter and then they get different step-up rings so they can share the filter with their different lenses by using different step-up ring. This works, but it is quite a bit of hassle having to carry so many different step-up rings, and step-up rings can be quite a bit of pain to put on and remove from the lens as well. So REVORING is a step-up ring that has a variable size mounting thread on the lens side. To use the REVORING, you just need to twist it, place it onto the lens, release it, and turn it clockwise to secure the REVORING. And it will stay there very securely, very simple and very easy to use. While I say the mounting thread size is variable, it does have some physical limitations on how large or how small the thread size can change to. So there are 4 different versions of REVORING: 46 to 62, 58 to 77, 67 to 82, and 82 to 95mm. For example, if you shoot with full frame camera and you have 4 lenses, one with a 58mm filter thread, another one with 62mm, one with 72mm, and one with 77mm, then getting the 58 to 77mm REVORING allow you to use it with all your 4 different lenses. So you pick the size that is most suitable to you, and then there are 2 different types of REVORING for the Swift system. The first type is the REVORING that has a built-in filter, like this one. So you can choose between black mist, CPL or CPL with variable ND filter, which is this one. So if you usually use a particular type of filter all the time, for example, if you are a landscape photographer, then you probably would use a CPL filter all the time. Then getting a REVORING with built-in CPL or CPL with variable ND would be a good option for you. I have previously reviewed the REVORING with the built-in CPL and variable ND filter, and this is the exact same REVORING for the Swift system. So if you are interested in finding out more about that REVORING, remember to check out that review after watching this one. I will put the link at the end of this video. Now, if you don't have a particular filter that you would use all the time, maybe because you just shoot many different type of photos and videos, then you could get the second type of REVORING, which does not have a built-in filter. This type of REVORING is basically a variable size step-up ring. The difference between this REVORING for the Swift system and the original REVORING that doesn't have a built-in filter is this new one does not have a filter thread at the front of the REVORING for you to screw in a filter, but instead it has a magnet at the front for you to attach the layer 2 item onto it. The REVORING with the built-in filter also has the magnet at the front of the REVORING. Okay, now let's talk about layer 2, and there are two main products. The first one is a drop-in filter, which consists of the drop-in filter rack that would stick onto the REVORING magnetically, and a drop-in filter of your choice. There is a range of drop-in filters available: CPL, ND, ND plus CPL, night, blue streak, black mist, and short stars. The CPL and the blue streak filter has a wheel on it for you to rotate the filter and adjust the angle. The magnet is very strong, so once the items are snapped together, it stays there very securely. Actually, sometimes it is a bit hard to remove them because the magnet is just so strong. The drop-in filter rack is also stackable, so you can have multiple of them if you want to combine different effects, but don't go too crazy as you may introduce vignetting when shooting with a wide-angle lens if you stack too many of them together. The other option for the layer 2 is a magnetic bridge ring. By itself, this magnetic bridge ring doesn't do anything because it is just a ring that is made of metal and has magnet on it, but what it does is it allows you to attach the layer 3 product onto the REVORING. So when you don't have or don't want to use a drop-in filter, it is a layer 3 to layer 1 adapter. Before we start talk about layer 3, there is something that you can actually attach between layer 1 and layer 2, and let's call it layer 1.5. And these are the clip-on filters. So they are circular shaped filter that just magnetically attach onto the front of the REVORING like this. You have the choice of ND filter from ND4 to ND400, black mist filter from 1/8 to 1/2, and also short star filter. So they are very easy to use, very thin, and you can stack more than one if you want to. Compare the clip-on filter with the drop-in filter. They both have their own pros and cons. The clip-on filters are easier to put on and they are thinner. But the drop-in filter, you can easily switch between different filters without having to take everything apart. And also, you have the ability to easily rotate the drop-in filter, which you can't with the clip-on filter because the clip-on filter doesn't have the wheel for you to adjust it. So that's why there's no CPL for the clip-on filter. Okay, now let's talk about layer 3. There are a few different products available. We have a square filter holder, a lens hood, and a matte box. One thing that is different between the layer 3 and layer 2 is you can only use one layer 3 product at a time. You cannot stack multiple of them together. First, let's talk about the square filter holder. So this is the square filter holder, and you can stick it onto any of the layer 2 product like this. And there are a number of square or rectangular filters available for this filter holder. They are ND8, ND32, ND64, ND1000, Soft GND, Hard GND, reverse GND, and center GND. These filters are also magnetic, so you could attach multiple of them on top of each other if you want to combine different effects. The second layer 3 product is the lens hood. I haven't received a lens hood sample, but it is basically a lens hood that would magnetically attach to the REVORING Swift system. This is best for photographers who want to use filters but still want to use a lens hood to minimize the amount of lens flare and improve contrast. And then the last item for the layer 3 is the matte box. A lot of videographers love to use a matte box instead of a lens hood, as you have the adjustable top frag for you to adjust it to prevent lens flare. And of course, a lot of people buy the matte box just because it makes your camera setup look more serious, and there's nothing wrong with that. The quality of this matte box is pretty decent. While the top frag may look like it's made of carbon fiber, but it's actually made of fiberglass. The matte box is quite lightweight as well, under 140 grams. If you want to use the matte box, one special thing that you need to aware is H&Y say the matte box is not compatible with the REVORING that has a built-in filter. But when I tried it with the REVORING that has the built-in variable ND and the CPL, it does seem to work. So I was a bit puzzled and I contacted H&Y. They explained the reason is for the REVORING that has a built-in CPL or variable ND filter, the front of the REVORING could rotate easily, and when you mount the matte box onto it, the weight of the matte box could rotate the filter, and that would affect the image output, and that's why they said it's not compatible. So technically you could use it, but they definitely don't recommend it. Now if you get the REVORING with the built-in black mist filter, then I don't think you will have any issue because the front of the black mist filter REVORING doesn't rotate. You may wonder about the quality of these filters. After all, it doesn't matter how innovative the system is. If the image quality of these filters is not good, then the system is not good. If you have watched any of my previous H&Y filter reviews, you would know the quality of their filters are really good. Their filters don't really introduce much additional lens flare, don't appear to affect image quality much. It will only introduce very small amount of color shift. I do find the effect of the new blue streak filter, it may be a little bit too much, but other than that, everything looks great to me. The only other thing that I should mention is the REVORING that has the built-in variable ND filter. If you turn it past half the maximum strength, then you may see the X pattern, especially when you use it with a wide angle lens. It is actually normal for variable ND filter to have this effect, but I want to mention it in case some of you haven't used a variable ND filter before, and I don't want you to be surprised. And in terms of build quality, it is also really good. The REVORING and all the filter holders are all made of high quality metal material, and they are all very solid. The magnets are very strong, maybe even a bit too strong as I mentioned before, but I guess a little bit too strong magnet is still much better than having a weak magnet. When I was reviewing the H&Y K series filter and REVORING from H&Y, I was already really impressed by the quality and some of the innovative ideas. But they were all separate lines of products, and I just can't help but keep thinking, well, it would be great if they can combine all these features together. That would be just fantastic. And that is exactly what they have done this time with the H&Y Swift system. H&Y has improved and expanded the original REVORING and merged it with their K-series square filter, so it has the easy to use REVORING mount, and it supports drop-in filter, square filter, and also clip-on filters. That make the system a lot more flexible in terms of how you want to create your setup. H&Y also added new accessories like the matte box and the lens hood, which are also very useful. So as a result, it becomes a very versatile ecosystem that is great for both photographers and videographers. So what about the downside of this system? I think the biggest downside is that because there are so many different options and products available, it is not very easy to understand how all these different products of the Swift system could work together. I was quite confused at the beginning too, when I have all these products on my desk and then all these different diagrams and informations. I was like, oh man, this is pretty confusing for a filter system. But after sit down and a few try and error, I finally figured out everything. I hope I did a decent job explaining it in this video, and by the time you are watching this part of video, you would hopefully already have a good idea about how this system works. If not, maybe we watch this video again, and I hope then it would allow you to understand how everything works together. You can also drop a comment below if you still have questions, and I will try to answer it. As usual, H&Y products are not cheap, and this is the same for this Swift system. If you are buying the whole system with all the different accessories, the total price definitely is pretty expensive. But there's a difference between expensive and overpriced, and for this Swift system, they are definitely not overpriced. Good filter would last you forever as well. Their Kickstarter campaign does offer some really good discount. They have a package specially designed for photographers and a package specially designed for videographers. They also have a custom package for you to build your own unique Swift system combo as well. So if you're interested, then definitely check out their Kickstarter campaign and see what they offer, and you can save some money. As usual, backing Kickstarter campaign has some certain risks, but H&Y is a well-established company and they have done successful Kickstarter campaign before, so the risk should be relatively low if you are interested in backing this Kickstarter campaign. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you have any questions or comments, please drop it below.